on this sunny, beautiful Monday afternoon. Glad you were able to show up. Glad that you're visiting with me. As you know, my name is Gisela Di Carlo. I am a classical homeopath. I'm also a doctor of natural health. And today we're going to be talking all about how to travel with pets. I promised you that. But let's first say hello to the very, very special person that makes all of this happen, and that's Amnan. Amnan, hello.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever everybody is.
Yeah.
How are you?
And tell the folks of how they can get in touch with me if they have questions.
They can call 919-518-9773. They can use Skype and connect to computers 2K voice, and we really want you to do that. We want you to log into the chat. You're watching us. If you're not watching on nissancommunications.com/live, go there because that's where the chat room is, and then log into the chat and join in the conversation.
Absolutely. If you are an RVer like I am, I love going out there in my camper, and I got my doggies with me, and I'm free, and I listen to great music. I cook what I want, I eat when I want, and usually I try to go by myself. Since I'm a terrific cook and also a good camp cook, they are most of my girlfriends, they sort of like to vie to come with me, but I don't always want to have that. I like to go by myself. If any of you are out there and you like to go by yourself camping, because I don't really camp. I don't sleep in a sleeping bag on the floor in a tent. I have an 87 Dodge camper van, and that has been revamped motor-wise, totally from top to bottom. It is as cute as it can be, and as soon as this is all done, which should be this weekend, I will post pictures on my website, and my website is the Beauty Group, or you can just search for Gisela Di Carlo. Gisela, Gisela Dicarlo. You can just go on the web. Homeopathy for me is my Facebook page. The Beauty Group is my Facebook page, and just put a like there, and you can see pictures of my pets and so on. I'm going to be updating this whole week. I'm going to be designating for that. You can also send me an email if you have specific questions. Now, I know because I don't travel with cats, but I do travel with small dogs, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I got 3. One of them has to stay home and protect hubby, and the other 2, they have to come with me and protect me. But it can be a challenge. It can be a real challenge, especially if you have a young animal or a very old animal. But pets can get into all kinds of things. We have one dog named Teddy. He's a mix of a Maltese and a poodle, and he's super excited when he goes, and he is jumping all over the van, and until he got hurt twice. He fell off the counter. He jumps from the counter down and up, and and I mean, he's all over the place, and he hurt his back hip. And so he was limping. Well, Daddy, then he gets to sit on Daddy's lap, and we go and buy him an ice cream cone, Well, So I think he has that down pat now. I think sometimes now lately when we've been traveling, he started limping because he figured, I can sit on daddy's lap and I get ice cream. But if that happens to you, if your dog is free, I don't recommend that. From now on, he is always confined in a small crate. Crate is just big enough for him to lie down and stand up, but not really to turn around or to do anything. Our trips usually are between 2 and 3 hours at the most. We never drive longer without a stop. Usually I try to stop every hour and a half to 2 hours. But if we want to go someplace where it's longer, like a 5 or 6 hour trip, we cut it in half, or sometimes even make 2 stops in between, because they have to go out. You have to offer them some water, because especially in the summertime, it is hot and it can get hot. Always see that there's enough ventilation in the car, in the back for them, okay? But try to confine your pet in the car. If you go in the car or if you're going in a camper, always try to confine the pets. Now we have 2 pets that we don't have to do that. They get into the camper and they lie down and that's it. They don't move. They stay there, and whenever we stop, they get up and we put them all on the leash and we go take them for a little walk, and then they get back in and that's it. Now Teddy is and if you have a teddy, like a teddy, please do that. Confine the pet. Don't let the pet be all over the place. I always also leave the leash on the pet if I don't confine them. Why? Because let's say we do, God forbid, get into an accident. The doors fly open, they run out. Now, without a leash, they're almost impossible to catch. I always have a leash that somebody can at least step on the leash and stop the dog from running. Okay, so those 2 things you should definitely always consider if you travel with your pet. Now on campgrounds, if you want to go camping with your pet, one thing that every campground frowns on is barking pets. Now, if you have one of those yappers like I have, Teddy also is a yapper. I mean, it's all his. You walk by half a mile by our RV, and he spots you and he barks at you because you might be in his space. It's all his space. So when that happens, what I usually do the first couple of days, I give them rescue remedy. Rescue remedy works really brilliant on keeping a pet a little calmer, so they don't bark at everything, because there are other animals too. Campgrounds have expelled people for barking dogs, which is not surprising, right? I mean, if you go camping and want to enjoy the quiet and the serenity and what have you, you don't want to have in the next one there a dog that constantly barks. Not fun. So please consider that when you go camping with your pet. Now,
question.
Yes.
So you like to go camping and it's summer and it's hot and you like to eat ice cream.
Yeah.
What about the pet?
Well, the pet gets ice cream.
Real ice cream.
They get an ice cream cone. We try to buy an ice cream cone, the soft ice cream,
Yeah.
and he sits there and licks it just like a human.
Okay. All right. Good.
And Daddy holds it for him, and he eats, and he usually eats the whole thing.
Of course.
I urge my husband always to eat first half and then give the rest to him.
Not the other way. Not the other way around.
him have a little bit too loose of a bowel movement with that. So, so it's not good to give him the whole thing, you know.
Okay.
But he expects that. He expects that to be, and many dogs do, you know. I know that, and many cats do. Our cats like ice cream too, especially the soft ice cream. But don't give him the entire thing, and don't buy one of those really large ones and give it to him. No, no. Eat half of it, and then give the rest to
Nothing
the
bigger.
dog. I mean, he eats the cone and everything.
Nothing bigger than a gallon.
Then what?
A gallon.
No, you know, I mean, the soft ice cream, they come,
Yeah.
I mean, this big, you know?
Yeah.
And so what we do is we either cut it in half up on top and put it into a bowl for us and then give him the rest,
The rest. Yeah.
or we eat the rest, the first half, and then give him the other
Yep.
half, you know?
Okay. All right.
So that is definitely. Now, if you travel with cats, I've seen many people travel with cats, and you know, there is a misconception that you can't travel with cats. That's not true. Many people travel, especially RVers. Many have cats, but there are a few precautions that you have to do. First of all, you have to train the cat to wear a harness. The cat has to be trained, and you can only do that on a young cat. If you adopt a cat that's 8 years old and you put a harness on, or try to put a harness on that, because very likely you won't succeed, that's going to be probably not so successful. I mean, you know, cats don't like colors and they don't like confinement. But if you have a young cat, put the harness on, leave the harness on. Don't take it off. Let the cat sleep with it. Have a name tag on the harness. Always also on your dogs. Always make sure when you travel. And I know it seems like such a no-brainer, but would you believe it? How many dogs I have found on campgrounds that didn't have a name tag? I mean, it just boggled my mind. So have a name tag, your name, the pet's name, the phone number to call, and the Humane Society to call. Now, if your pet has a chip, a microchip, also put the information on that tag, or make a second tag. Microchip, location, paw, ear, wherever the microchip was inserted. And if you can, put the brand of the microchip on there, because there are about 10 different microchip companies. And the vets, they only have one tester. This one tester does not. They might see the microchip, but they can't read it if they don't have the right tester. So put on the information there, what kind of microchip is in there. That way, your pet is protected and will always be able to get back to you. It is unpardonable for people. I mean, we have a little poodle, a little black poodle. He just wanders off. He just goes, and he just goes and visits people, and and more than once, people have come to my campsite and said, hello, is this yours? Because they found him, but he's always on a soft leash. He's always on a soft leash. I never let him go without a leash. So anybody can confine the animal. Much, much better that way. Much better. It's a great way. If you have two dogs and you go to the beach, don't go and have two dogs and they get all tangled in the leashes and so on. Couple them. Make a long leash, put one dog on each end, and they will control each other. They will go and run. They won't both run off. Always one dog always listens a little better than the other. So try that the next time. Easy for you, easy for them. When they get tangled, they untangle themselves. Much nicer this way. Another thing is always, always, always have sufficient enough water with you. Do not let them go for hours on end without water, especially large dogs. Large dogs get very fast dehydrated because they go much more, they hechle more, and they get dehydrated very quickly. So you want to have at least always. What I do is, even in my RV, I have one of those beanbag bowl. I put the beanbag bowl down, and there's always a small amount of water in there, just a little bit, not enough to swamp the floor, but enough so that they can have a lap or two when they need it, especially in the summertime when it gets very warm. So those are the things that those are a must. Okay, you can't really go without knowing these things. Also, when you make in the evening a campfire, I would advise to have the pet, unless it's a wise older pet, put the pet into the camper. They're much happier there. They don't really want to be near the fire. The smoke is not good for their eyes, not good for ours either. But, we enjoy it, and we enjoy the marshmallows, and we enjoy the looking at the stars and whatever. You have a better rest. You can enjoy your wine and cheese or whatever you have with it and look at the stars without constantly thinking, where's my pet? What I have also seen is long hair, dogs that have long tails with long hair. They have gone so close to the fire that their hair has caught fire. So be careful with that. Okay, be careful. Put them in the camper or put them in the tent, or stake them far enough away from the fire that no harm can come to them. It's the thought afterwards is much worse. Once it's done, and once a pet has come into harm, it's always sad, because they are our children, and we love them and we care for them, and we certainly don't want them to get hurt. Now let's say you have like a dog. I call them the garbage dogs. They love to get into garbage. They eat almost anything. You feed them the best food in the world, but they need to go into some garbage, or they eat some crap that they found somewhere. Now the animal is sick. How can you tell that the animal is sick? Well, one thing is they probably are not as playful as before. They probably lie around a little bit more. They also have, if they have a fever, if they have a real bad stomach problem, they often have a slight fever. Always carry a thermometer with you, and have your vet or somebody who is knowledgeable teach you how to take the temperature. You always take it rectal on animals, and have somebody teach you how to do that. As a pet owner, you have to know how to do that. But in an emergency, you can feel the nose hot and cracky and very dry. pet has a problem. Ears, very, very hot, and sometimes maybe even floppy, sign of sign of not feeling good. If they ate some garbage, there are a few remedies that you should always take with you. I have talked about that before. We all should have an emergency kit at home. But if you're an RVer or if you go camping, and so many people now live in RVs all year round, I wish I could do that. I mean, I wish I could just go and fly down the road and do that. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do that for a while yet. But um, if you are a full-time RVer, definitely you have to have a small emergency kit for you and your pets. And in those, you have to have arnica for any bruising or any immediate hurt, like for instance, when Teddy jumped off that and hurt his hip, he got a dose of arnica, and then he got his ice cream. But you have to have arnica with you. If you have a bruise, if you have, even if you have a broken bone, arnica. If you have a wrenched ankle, arnica. If you cut yourself somehow you cut yourself, and it's so easy when you're going camping because you cook outside. There are knives, there are sometimes sharp metals with some barbecue pits or so on. You walk on the beach, some beach glass cuts the paw of the animal or your own foot. You take a dose of phosphorus right away, stops the bleeding. Okay. The next one is for any sting, a bee sting, a God forbid, any kind of sting, from any other animal. Apis, a sting with swelling, itching, and burning. Apis, for pet and people. Another very, very useful remedy is something for vomiting. Arsenicum. Now, here's the thing with vomiting. If your pet vomits because it doesn't travel well. There are many dogs that don't travel well. They get sick every time that they get into a car. Well, there are several remedies that speak to that. But you have to differentiate. Is the pet getting into the car and lies there and shivering and just vomits as soon as the car gets started and just retches and is miserable? Or is the pet very restless? It's running around, it's restless, it can't get comfortable, and every once in a while it just goes and heaves. For that pet that is very restless, you give him arsenicum. Arsenicum helps each time, every time. No questions asked. You just put a few pillules, just a few, 4 or 5 pillules, if you have the small ones. If you buy your homeopathic remedies in a health food store, you usually get the Biron, Biron. You can also purchase them from me. If you email me, I will be able to sell you any kind of remedy that you need in a 30C potency. Okay. But if you buy it at the health food store, they're not expensive. Or you buy a small kit. They have the small kits. They are usually 30 in a kit. You have every remedy that you need in there. And if you don't know all of what the remedies do, you can go to my website, mylife-mywill.org, and you can download a small emergency list of remedies that with the indications that you need. Okay, so it's not a difficult thing for acute problems like this. So arsenicum is one for the vomiting with the restlessness, but there's also another one that and it's called I picked. And let me just get my book here. And uh, here is the diarrhea. Well, if it's vomiting and diarrhea, which often happens when the pet ate something, it comes out both ends. If that is the case, arsenicum is always indicated right away. But if that doesn't stop it in an hour or two, then I would recommend, and the pet gets weaker, it sort of gets lethargic, and it just is not getting any better. You don't have to rush it right away to the vet. If the stool is bloody or the vomit is bloody, I would rush the pet to the vet if you are not a homeopathic practitioner. Because that could be potentially dangerous. It could potentially be that there's a kidney problem, that the kidneys are shutting down, and that can cause a bleeding, rectal bleeding, and also vomit can be bloody. But if that is not the case, then China, and it is spelled China, and that is when the pet has excessive fluid loss, like weak from diarrhea, from vomit. The diarrhea may be undigested food, a little bit bloody and yellow, often accompanied by flatulence. Colic may occur, and most often that is given to very young animals. Older animals that have diarrhea respond very, very well to, let me see, where did I have this here? Podophilium, Pdophyllum. And it's a good remedy for diarrhea, as it will provide relief because it responds right to the colon. It soothes the colon. Typically, the diarrhea would occur in the morning and the stool firms up by evening. Now, what would you give as food? Let's say you have a pet like this. It happens to you. Boil some white rice in water. Just boil it. Make it very, very soft so there's no bite to it or anything. Then hard-boiled some 1 or 2 eggs, depending on the size of the animal. 1 or 2 eggs, hard-boiled. Peel it, chop it into that rice. The next one is you go and get some cottage cheese. The small curds. Well, if it's a large animal, you can get the large curds, but it doesn't matter really. For my small animals, I use the small curds. A table or a teaspoonful of the cottage cheese into that rice and serve that up. And if it's a little warm, it's okay. I mean, not hot, but comfortable hand warm. Pet will eat it and will be better in the morning, okay? If they don't get better, you have to pull in somewhere and see a vet. But if there is blood in there, you can also give, in the stool, you can also give a dose of phosphorus, okay? That sometimes works. But that food the egg, the rice, and the cottage cheese. And I would feed that, if there was some food poisoning, I would feed that for a couple of days, not just once. And you'll see your pet will get much better fast. Now, another thing that I see on especially dogs, is the itchy skin. They, in the summertime, all of a sudden they get lots of itchy skin, and they itch and itch and itch, and you look and you search and you say, well, they must have some fleas. Well, no, they don't necessarily have to have fleas. You know what it could be? Poison ivy or poison oak. Some pets, some dogs are allergic to that, and they go through all of these, you know. So if you happen to have a dog that itches and itches and has little tiny pustules and it's getting red, give a few doses of Rhus tox. Rhus tox. It usually solves itself with Rhus tox. I have a my little black poodle. He gets it. I was racking my brain of every summer he starts itching. In the fall and in the winter, he's fine. We go to the beach, he's fine. I stay a week at the beach with him. No itching, all pustules go away. We come home, he gets it again. We thought, well, maybe he's allergic to the cats, maybe this or that. No, no. It's poison ivy. We have a lot of poison ivy around. We live in the woods. I'm not going to spray all that and clean all that away. So now I'm giving him Rhus tox, and guess what? He doesn't itch as much. So you have to, sometimes it's a little detective work that you have to do. Now, one other thing is also that can occur very often with cats. Cats, when they travel, they get this chronic conjunctivitis, this teary eye, one eye constantly, always tears. And then it stops for a while, and then it tears again. And you know, it's one of those things. The vets will give you some stuff to put into the eye. Not always that easy with a cat. So I would just give a dose of, and which I do often, is here. Where did we have? Natrum muraticum. Natrum muraticum. It is a cell salt that works really very, very well, especially for chronic eye infections. Okay. Many cats have that. They also get the nasal discharge sometimes because they too can get allergic to all kinds of pollen or whatever. So Natrum muraticum will help the cat to overcome that. And how to give this to the cat? That's the $10,000 question, right? My animals are so used to me giving them homeopathic remedies. I just hold them under my arm, open the mouth, put it in. But if you don't do that right from the beginning, it's going to be really tough, and you might end up being pretty scratched up. So here's another trick what you can do. Put some of these pillules into their food, into their favorite food. First, dissolve it a little bit so that they can't spit it out and eat around it. And they will eat it. But you cannot just do it once a day. You have to do it several times a day. If it's an acute problem, 3 to 6 times a day. That means every 2 hours, 6 times. But if it is a chronic problem, then 3 times a day for several days will usually do the trick. And I have not ever found that any of these remedies have not been successful. They usually are. They usually are. If you have a dog that has a blown capsule, sometimes in the hindquarters, the knee, when they jump off something high, that capsule in there, it's just like with our knee. There's a little meniscus in there. We damage that. If we do that, and if your dog did that, silicea will do the trick. A couple of doses of that and confine the animal to less strenuous activity, but not total inactivity, okay? Don't put them in a crate for days on end because it needs to be worked. You need to work the joint, but not strenuously that we're jumping, from jumping to on the couch or the bed or so on, to not re-injure that. But if you give them silicea for that, that really works usually very well. Well, we've almost come to the end of our show. Amnon, do you have anything to add to this? Because you have become quite the homeopath over the years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm learning every time. I never thought about. I mean, our little dog does itch a lot, and it'll be interesting to take a walk out in the yard under where we don't normally go and see if there is poison ivy there.
Poison ivy or poison oak, yeah.
Yeah, and Kathy does a pretty good job picking it up where we walk.
Yeah, well, I do too.
That's very interesting.
Into areas where we don't go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if that doesn't work, if the roost tax doesn't work, and dabbing all over the body with apple cider vinegar. Drench a sponge in apple cider vinegar and really drench the fur and the hair everywhere. Usually it's on the hindquarters.
Yep. Yep.
And drench it all with apple cider vinegar, give the roost tox, and that should abate. Yeah.
All right. That's good to know. That's great information.
Yeah, I'm glad. That's what I'm here for.
Yep.
I'm here to help. And I hope that you guys listening out there have very safe travels this summer. I hope to be on the road a little bit and go south a little bit and go to some of my most favorite spots. I won't tell you which ones they are because I try to keep them as pristine as I can. But other people do show up. I mean, I don't know where they come from, but So, and I do camp boondock a lot. I don't go to campgrounds, even though many times I'm told as a woman alone that might be dangerous. Oh, well, who is going to hurt me, right? I mean, I'll smile at them, shove my pepper spray in their face, and that's it. All right, my dear friends. I'll see you all next Monday. Have a great week. And homeopathy is going to make you live longer. Bye-bye for now.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.